Okay, so because this is the balance change suggestions, first of all, I'm gonna say a couple of things and then I'm actually gonna go through the suggestions themselves. Well, first thing I want to talk about is a couple of basic concepts that most people completely, just don't know about balance changes. First thing, if you change the 5 most played cards in the game, right? If I change Gravity, if I change Fig, if I change Espresso, right? And if I change something like Teleport and Trickster, those 5 changes are gonna have more effect on the game than if I changed 100 random other cards. That's just how it works. Because think about this, right? Every single deck that is made is either including Gravity, having to face Gravity, or a deck that plays around a different deck being made to face Gravity. So in a way, Gravity affects every single card in the game. Whereas something like Red Stinger, I mean, it's a good card, don't get me wrong, but nobody thinks about Red Stinger when they're making their zombie deck, right? And sure, some plans include this in their game plan, but again, it's not that important. It's not like a game-defining, meta-defining card at the moment. So nerfing or buffing 10 Red Stinkers isn't gonna do nearly as much as changing this Gravity, even just a tiny bit. And what I disagree a lot when I see other people do balance changes is that will go, this card needs to be weaker, this is okay, this needs to be stronger, weaker, stronger, this is okay, this is okay, stronger, maybe stronger, this is okay, stronger. So, they just changed every single card in the game. It's like, you're not actually supposed to do that because, well, first of all, there remains no familiarity. When you're changing 2 cards in the meta, right? You're changing 1 interaction. You're changing 3 cards in the meta, well, you're changing, or like 4 cards, let's say. You're already changing like way more interactions. If you change like the entire roster, it's infinitely many interactions you're changing. First of all, there's no familiarity in the game. Second of all, I already told you that all of those changes you do are not going to matter as much as if you change just the Gravity. And third of all, it's just not a good way to play around the balance changes. When someone makes balance changes, the first thing they are supposed to do is have a very specific direction in terms of what they want to change. Now, having said that, here's the direction I would go for. I believe that individual cards, especially the strongest ones of the really strong classes, have gotten too strong, and they are way too effective at winning games. What do I mean by this? Sunshroom. If you don't kill Sunshroom turn 1, chances are you have lost the game. Oh, Sunshroom survived? Well, I guess the Solar Flare is gonna play Imitator Fig, and then good luck dealing with that. Oh, Sunshroom survived for 10 turns, good luck playing against Rose, who's running a Losaurus, and who's running this garbage, like piece of garbage card, just because it exists because of Sunshroom Wind. You have been going like semi-equal against Guardian, good luck dealing with Gravity, this card outtrades everything, and it doesn't die to Trick, so what are you gonna do now? And things like Espresso, they just leave no room of error, no room of skill if you misplay even slightly. Not even misplay, if you just don't draw the correct card, you're always gonna lose against this. And it just removes a lot of skill, and the game becomes more about, hey, if I California roll, I win. If I don't California roll, I lose, just because this card is that effective. So, in order to increase how much skill can impact the game, at the same time not remove the fun luck-based aspects of what it does, I just believe that some of the really strong cards need to be nerfed because they are just too effective at winning games and there's just too much broken stuff. So, and the specific direction, understandably, is gonna be a lot of nerfs. I don't believe that there are some classes that don't have a particularly good cards. For example, Smarty. If you look at Smarty cards, most of them are mediocre at best. This is garbage. This is mediocre. This is garbage. I mean, this is a card that it's probably like a little above average, but it's running every single day. It just talks about the fact that hey, this class just doesn't have like any really good cards. If you think about it, just look at this, and then you look at Solar, and then you realize, the classes were not made equal. Let's be real here. So, anyway, my immediate direction is obviously going to be nerfing a lot of the more powerful stuff. So first of all, Guardian, right? Guardian, I have made a couple of changes. So first and foremost, right, there was a nerf. So I believe that first nerf should be on the Starslord. Why is this? Starslord has become too great of a card in terms of budget, and I think it is a little strong. It's definitely not too overpowered, so just because it is running budget, and it's definitely like the moment everything else becomes a little nerfed, it's immediately gonna step up because this has become a really good card. I think the effect should only happen once a turn. I mean the +1/+1 thing. Like the first time you play a root, this and the root get +1/+1. It still keeps the scaling thing, which was a nice addition. I actually liked that change. It keeps the conjuring thing, which is also like its main purpose, but it keeps it a little toned down more in terms of like combo potential, and it's not gonna affect the game on higher levels a lot because cards tend to survive way less. But in terms of lower ranks, this is gonna be a bigger change, and which is why I think it would be nice. Second thing I would be changing is Gravity, obviously. So here is the thing that most of competitive disagreed with me so far. I actually liked the fact that Gravity as a card exists now, because what this does is it gives control decks anti-trick options. So what do I mean by this? Well, look at this. It's 7/7 untrickable. Obviously, you can't kill it with a trick. Something else it does, Brainy has to commit the entire trickster to deal with this card, otherwise this will kill them within 3 turns. So it's just, in my opinion, it's a potentially great card to have in the game. I actually don't mind having this at all. The problem is, not only is this a great anti-trick card, this is also a great anti-Gargantuar card, which I think it should not be both. It should be one of them. Like, you either need to have a good anti-trick option, which deals with singular units, but the ability is amazing for dealing singular units, which obviously trick decks don't run a lot of units, so every time you play a mediocre unit, it's just gonna kill it against the trick decks. But the same should not be about Gargs. This should not counter everything. It should just counter something specific. So if you want to counter Gargs with this, you should remove the untrickable, obviously. But if you want to keep it the current anti-trick option that it is, which I actually like, I believe this card should become a 6/6. So it's still better than Apotato in terms of raw statistics, because obviously the armored one makes it a little stronger, and it has a pretty decent ability, let's be honest here. Like, the ability is actually not half bad, especially with Untrickable. And it still happens after the zombies play, so it's a great reactive card, it's a great proactive card, it's good against tricks, it's still gonna be strong statistics-wise, but it's no longer just gonna counter everything. So Dipsy Gargantuar is gonna actually uptrade this now, Gargantuars on area are gonna uptrade this now, it's not like, it's just gonna lose more interactions against beefier cards, which I think what this card needs. It just doesn't need to counter everything. Another card I was gonna change is Poppin' Poppies. I was actually gonna buff this to 5/5, but only because I'm also nerfing Little Buddies. So I think the Poppin' Poppies need to become 5/5. I'll talk about this more when I come to Little Buddies. And the final change is Walnut Bowling. When Walnut Bowling is the main finisher in a meta, the meta is bad. This card, if this is the finisher, it just means the uninteractive gameplay is encouraged. It means just running control is better, which, don't get me wrong, control archetype should exist. It's not bad, especially since plants, like, the entire franchise is based on plants controlling, but this shit should never be like by far the best win condition to run on Guardian, because it just means the game is not fun. It means the best way to win this game is by controlling the opponent. It's just never supposed to be a thing. There's supposed to be an option, but it's not supposed to be the strongest option, you know what I'm saying? As such, I think reverting it back to 9 cost makes a lot of sense. You don't actually want this card to be good. It's just not a good thing to have in your game. Walnut Bowling is the main thing. So, for Guardian again, this, and this, all 4 cards getting nerfs. And in theory it sounds very small. It sounds very minimal. But trust me that like just changing Gravity and just changing Walnut Bowling does more for the meta than like me if I was like, oh, buff this, nerf this, buff this, buff this, buff this, buff this, buff. You know what I'm saying? It's just trust when I say you things, because I'm never wrong. That's how it is. Kabloom. Kabloom has at the same time the best and the worst cards in the game, right? This is an insanely aggressively really great card. This is an amazing card. This is an amazing card. But then you start looking at the bigger picture. Who runs this? Who runs this? This is the worst card. What is this? Who thought of this? Why is Blueberry still in the game? It's like, I want to nerf Fig. I obviously want to nerf Fig. But I know the moment Fig is nerfed, this class just becomes completely unplayable. So, my idea of changing this class has to be buffing some other things, so that like it just doesn't become immediately unplayable. Otherwise, it's just completely cooked. So I had a couple of changes I was going to propose. First of all, this needs to go back to being a 2/2. The nerf was completely undeserved. Its 1.5 iteration was maybe an A tier card. It was not an S tier card. S was not as strong to deserve a nerf, and for some reason we nerfed this because reasons. Now it just dies to nibble. And what it does for Kabloom is Kabloom no longer has his 1 cost, and it just doesn't. Like what 1 cost is a reliable 1 cost? You're gonna run Astros from in your deck. That's what I'm saying. So revert this back to 2/2. I want this to become a 2/1. Because now it will actually deal with like the 2 HP threats that zombies have, but at the same time it will still be considerably weak to conmen. So this is again like aggressive option, but aggressive card draw option, but at the same time not like at its fullest potential, because still gonna be weak to nibble, still gonna be weak to acid rain, to all the Z-Max signature stuff, but it's gonna be a little more consistent. I was gonna buff Shelf Shroom. This thing needs to do 3 damage because, like, as in its current form, it's just basically a worse Berry Blast. You're running a 2-cost card that's gonna need another card to activate it, and what the activation does is it does the Berry Blasts thing. I'm sorry, it's just a horrible card. I think either its ability needs to do 3 damage or its attack needs to be 3, one of those two. I don't mind whichever one you choose, but it needs a buff. This needs a nerf. This is a little too strong. And even though it's not very consistent, it's still an amazing, like, high A tier, low S tier card. It's just like, the way it wins games is definitely very toxic. Oh, you committed TPZ, boom. I played this 6 attack, you're down 6, now you're supposed to play perfect for the rest of the game. And you better pray to God you have an answer, because if you don't, you're completely cooked. What you do is you make this anti-hero 1. Like, oh, it barely does anything. No, it does a lot. If it hits you twice less, well, that's 2 whole damage, a whole Bungee Plumber amount of damage. It no longer punishes you as much. It also doesn't, what's it called? The free tap plus small poke is much more different from like straight up 4 tapping you. It just kills you slower. It leaves way more room for error if this thing hits you twice. Right. Next thing that I'm gonna do is nerfing Fig. Fig needs a nerf. But here is another hot take. I like what Fig does for the meta. Okay? Having a 4 cost or like a 3 cost, any type of aggressive option for Kabloom that's like, you know, like you commit it and it's gonna scale up and eventually it's gonna become a problem, but it's like basically scale. It's imagine if it was Sun production, but it was way more consistent. It was like you don't have to play another card in order to volley off of it. This is the value. It just needs time to scale. And I like what it does. What I don't like is it's a complete disgusting stat stick that just outtrades everything and just by itself is like a pretty good ability as well. So what I do is I make this a free cost for attack 3 HP. It dies to way more removal. It dies to bolt. It dies to Rocket, it dies to Fruitcake, it dies to Final Mission, it dies to Piano, it dies to Alienus, it dies to literally everything in the game. But it's still an aggressive option. It will still scale up, and it will, at some point, it will become a problem. But now you're also gonna have to deal with the horrible pool of 4-cost cards. This is a 4-cost card that's gonna kill you. This is it can be funny to get. This is a disgusting 4-cost card. Where is the one? There you are. This is a completely horrible thing to get. So it's gonna make it less consistent, which is a good thing. But it's gonna keep its main ability, that it is an aggressive option for Kabloom. It's just no longer gonna be as oppressive as it is right now. Finally, my last change is Blueberry. So what I was suggesting is make this a 5-cost, free attack, 5 HP, make its ability deal 3 damage, and give it another ability at the start of the turn deal 2 damage. So what this does is, right, obviously it's gonna get way more immediate value with the 3 damage, it's gonna be way more consistent with the 5 health, it's not gonna die to random bolts anymore. It lines up with the Berry gameplay of wanting to consistently deal damage, especially to the enemy here. Like, this is an amazing poke with each other if you can just deal 2, like ping the enemy, and there's an amazing win condition with Bearless as well. It's just gonna become like a better card. It's actually gonna get a function that actually works with the berries. It still keeps its immediate removing plus unit thing that it does, but it's actually useful now. You can no longer call this the worst 5-cost in the game. So all of that all together. Oh, I forgot one thing. Make this back to 3 HP. This card does not need to die to Bungee Plumber. Why does this card die to Bungee? It's not that strong. We have already removed its ability to do damage to the zombies in front. It has a very clear weakness. It's still not particularly great against tricks. And let's be honest, berries haven't been thinking ages. So why is this a free 2? Make it a free. Make it at least somewhat useful. Anyway, what I was saying is, after those 2 nerfs, but the buffs to the rest of the class, Kabloom should be somewhat playable. It's probably still gonna be garbage, but hopefully, the class won't be completely dead, because let's be honest, the only reason you play Kabloom is Fig and Berry Blast. The only reason. You don't play this class for anything else. So maybe the changes I provide will give it some value, make it a little more consistent, hopefully. I can say a lot. Mega Grow is honestly quite balanced. The only problem is it's the really strong card it has are too strong, but 90% of the class I'm actually really happy with what it is. It's just the standouts are really horrible. So I would just do 3 changes for the classes. Make this a 2-cost 2 free. When played on heights, just get +1 attack, don't give it the +1 HP. So it's still a 2-cost 2 free, it can trade with regular units. On height it's still a stat stick, but it's just no longer that big of a stat stick, doesn't counter Cyborg randomly anymore. It's definitely way more balanced for budget plays. It's just this has never been a problem in competitive, but in lower ranks I've seen people complain about this. That should kind of fix it a little bit. Fertilizer is a little too much immediate value. I think if it gave it the plant gets +4 attack, +3 HP, should make it a little more fine. No one runs Fertilizer in this day and age anymore, but that's only because Espresso exists. And you sometimes run out of cards, which is the worst thing to do when you're playing Espresso. The moment the Espresso gets nerfed, and zombies start getting nerfed as well, this becomes a big thing. So just make this +3 HP. The buff was really nice. This should make it a little more balanced. Finally, nerf this card back to 8-cost. You cannot have this with this and this in the game. I'm sorry, I have zero clue who thought about this, but this is genuinely disgusting. This has made so many competitive players quit. This has made so many heroes just completely not viable anymore. You have to change this. This is not a good card. You have to make it back to an 8-cost. It will still be a good win condition. People were actually running it. I don't know why we buffed it. Just because Leather has no clue that good cards exist doesn't mean we should buff them. Smarty. Smarty is actually kind of garbage. Nobody plays Smarty. Let's look at the Smarty heroes, right? There's obviously Rose, but Rose doesn't count because Rose has been one of the best heroes in games in its conception. You can argue Beta Carotene is top 5, But then these two are the two worst plant heroes. Like, you can argue this is the worst one. You can argue this is the worst. It doesn't matter. Those two are the worst ones. So Smarty in general is just a garbage class. Again, the whole Rose is good, or low Beta Carotene is good. So yeah, Beta Carotene is good because of Guardian. Rose is good because of Solar. And both of them get like a singular card from like that actually works. But you get the point. Like, it's just a Smarty class just by itself is just completely garbage. Any hero that plays Smarty just does nothing. So obviously buffing was not my main point, so I'm just gonna do a couple of quality of life changes. Not a lot. First of all, I think Smarty deserves a free cost unit. None of the free cost units are particularly consistent at what they do, so I want some form of control option. So I'm making this a free attack. Band-Aid fix, not really gonna change much, but you know, hopefully it brings it some consistency. What's next? So something else I was gonna do is hold on. Something else I was gonna do is let me see. Okay, this card. I was gonna change this so that it conjures the superpower at the start of zombie tricks. So what does this do, right? You play this card, you pass your turn, and it immediately gives you superpower. So now even if the zombie hero removes this immediately with like a fruitcake, it gets at least some form of value. But you can't play the superpower immediately after playing the card still. So it just becomes a little more consistent. This was not my change, this was someone else's. I really loved the idea. It just makes the card way more consistent, but with the same weakness. Like, this is not gonna do much if it gets fruitcake, you know? Oh, fruitcake and then zombie gets an extra free brains worth of value, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just an amazing change. Finally, I don't know what PopCap was smoking, bro, but why did we nerf this? Why did we nerf Bean Counter? Bring it back to 4 cost 2/2. Make it actually buff it. Make it get +2 attack, +1 HP when a bean is played. And instead of shuffling 2 Weenie Beanies, get 1 Weenie Beanie and 1 Lima Floridon. That should help the card. It should make actually like maybe kind of slightly playable. This card does not need a nerf. Why did we nerf this? What are we thinking about? Finally, Solar. Another egregious class. Any Solar hero right now in the game is at least viable. At least viable. At the very worst, they are completely busted. So first things first, Little Buddy needs to only heal you for 1. Why is this? Well, damage in PvZH has stopped feeling like it's a good thing, especially in competitive scenes. These days, I don't even want to be hitting the enemy for free damage, because Little Buddy is just gonna heal it back off for the pepper combo, for the Aloe combo, and like, unless your damage is immediately winning like with Cheese Cutter, damage has stopped feeling nice. And part of the reason why is because Little Buddy will always heal the Solar Heroes for 4 every single game, and that means Solar Heroes start with 24 HP just off of running Little Buddy, and that's just horrible. I think that's disgusting. I think a 0 cost card should not be as broken as it is. It has too many functions. I think it needs to heal only for 1. That's first. Second, this needs to have only 1 HP. And I will keep its ability, because I think the way it combos up with Coffee Grounds and the way it counters Black Hole is amazing. But at the same time, it should not be an overall like good 1 cost plus an amazing oppressive option. They should have a weakness, and I think the weakness being like the Nibble, Conman, Zmexig, again, all the same things I said about like the HFC. Like, it still maintains, but again, it counters environments really nicely. It combos up with Coffee Grounds really nicely. You can combo it up with other environments. In general, it's just a good card. But it's 1 less HP, it's no longer as consistent turn 1, so there will be actual downside to running this. Next, not nerfing Pepper. The only reason I'm not nerfing Pepper is because if I nerf Pepper, the entire Solar class goes down. The entire solar class relies on this one card to be running. So, like, I'm gonna be nerfing Sandstrom as well. So, the moment I nerf Pepper, like, this class becomes completely unplayable. How am I nerfing Sandstrom? So, start of the turn, you get +1 true, but instead of transforming to Sanyashroom immediately, I wanted to transform to Sanyashroom after 2 turns. So first turn it's Sunshroom, second turn it's Sunshroom, and then third turn it's Sanyashroom, and it becomes, it's still a ramp option, and on turn 3, you're gonna get a Sunnier Shroom, which means on turn 4 you're gonna be able to play 6 costs. We are kind of changing the curve now, because instead of Sunshroom being a better Twin Sunflower, now it's like a way to start setting up Sunnier Shroom, and instead of Sunshroom relying on your 5 cost follow-up being good, now you're gonna rely more on 6 cost follow-up, which has its advantages and disadvantages. Disadvantages being that 6 cost cards are usually way more oppressive than 5 cost cards, but at the same time it's going to take way longer to answer. The heroes are going to get way more resources, way more time to be able to deal with it. Like Extinction Event on turn 2 does it now. You can take another turn to get Bungee Plumber. Your Cheese Cutter is going to take 2 whole turns to conjure instead of just 1, and pray to God you conjure something amazing or you lose the aim on the spot. You know what I'm saying? The Sunshroom nerf just does a lot of things. It's like definitely gonna shake up the solar meta. I don't think I need to nerf Twin Sunflower if I nerf the Sunshroom. The only reason why Ramp Rose exists right now is because Sunshroom is a thing. Trust me, no other card is a reason of that. It's just Sunshroom. Did I have anything else in this class? No, I'm pretty sure that was it. Okay, so those were all the nerfs on the plant side. Now about the zombie side. I did not forget about the Zombicide. I think Zombicide also needs a lot of nerfs. Cheese Cutter needs to become a 1 HP card. I like the conjure ability. I'm not gonna lie. I love it. I love that, hey, you can just have an aggressive card. You can get fun conjures, just instantly win the game. But it's not very consistent sometimes. But it can be oppressive, but I don't think this card needs to not have any weaknesses, and I do believe that being 1 HP is just like, it's good, because first of all, plants don't have a 1 attack, 3 health, 1 cost. The only real downside is like Garlic, but who plays Garlic? Other than that, what this does is now you can't play 2 of them turn 2 against Guardian, for example, because Galactic Cactus will completely obliterate your ankles. And it just in general starts getting like more trades where it's just not as good, and I think that just gives it enough of a downside where it becomes an actual balanced card. But honestly, Beastie is just a downright horrible class right now, so I don't think nerfing anything else is really big. I wanted to make this so that instead of being a 2 cost 2-1, revert it back to 2 cost 2-2. What you want to do, and the nerf you want it to do, is make it this zombie copies the attack and the health of another zombie and then gets -1/-1. That should be the nerf you're looking for. That's a nerf I completely agree with. This card is completely busted. It should not be as good as it is. It works great with Gargs. It works great with Secret Agent. It should not. Nerf it. That's the nerf. And I also had an area nerf, but I'm honestly not gonna do that because Beastie class is just garbage. I don't think Beastie card class deserves the amount of nerfs. Brainy. First of all, revert this. Nobody likes playing against a 1 cost 216. Why does this card keep scaling to 20 health? Who thought of this? Who was like, what would be a great idea to put in this game? A card that scales to 50 HP. That's really smart. No, revert this. This needs to get only 1 HP. We don't need both. We really don't. If you're gonna keep the +2 HP, at least make it 1 attack. But don't. Just make this +1 HP. It was an alright card before. This did not need a buff. I don't know why we're buffing it. Nerf this. And nerfing TPZ is gonna do like more damage to Brainy than any other card. Make this 4 HP. What this does is now it can only trade with 1 costs. Any 2/2 unit is gonna kill it within 2 turns. So if you're committing TPZ, it's no longer just an amazing safe commit. It's no longer just like, it's bullseye, so hitting the enemies doesn't do anything bad for you. It still keeps its completely busted ability, but now committing it is a little more scary, because committing the drive thing, you're not gonna get much value from it. It's gonna die way quicker. In general, gonna do a lot of damage to the Brainy class. This thing is gonna survive for one dice turn. That's actually really important. The 4-cost teleports can be huge. And yeah, it's just that's gonna nerf Brainy class quite heavily, and I think Brainy class does need a nerf, because the only thing you see in ladder these days is Brainy. Even though honestly the Brainy class UDC is really garbage. I have seen horrible decks in the ladder. Let's just not talk about it. The final nerf I would do for Brainy class, again a big nerf, I would make this an 11 cost. I think this is just way too strong. This is the best zombie finisher in the game. It has been the best zombie finisher for a while. And I know a lot of competitive community loves it. I know like a lot of different people love it, but I think it's just too strong. I think if we make this 11 brain, it's still gonna work nicely in terms of, hey, if you're running a lot of tricks, it's actually gonna help it a lot. But at the same time, you're not gonna need to just play 2 free tricks and then play area and then play trickster, and it's gonna win you the game. You know, it's just gonna be a little more skillful, a little harder to pull off. Gonna encourage running a little more tricks. So like, it's gonna be basically the same for like lower ladder, because lower ladder already runs an insane amount of tricks, but it's gonna be a little weaker for competitive play, because competitive play understands this card does not need to have that many tricks to be effective. Like at 7 cost, this card is already amazing. You know what I'm saying? Not like ladder will make this a 0 cost and still not play for some reason. So yeah, make this an 11 cost. Just that with TPZ already breaks Brainy's ankles. It's gonna feel way weaker. Trust me, it's gonna make zombies way more balanced when plants also get nerfed. Crazy class. Yeah, I thought about crazy class. I'm not gonna lie, I could not come up with the change. This class is very weird. And if you look at crazy heroes, it has the best hero in the game. It has arguably, what is it? Yeah, the second best zombie hero in the game, and then it has 2 of the worst zombie heroes in the game. So like, this is another smarty situation where I can be like, you know what, maybe what makes Infinity so good is the sneaky, maybe what makes Brainstorm so good is Brainy, which it is, by the way, for Brainstorm specifically. And these 2 guys just don't have that great of combination of classes, so they are way weaker in turn. So, you know, I don't think Crazy has any big standouts. The only card that's really good right now is this, but even this is not like a complete S tier, so I would argue Sneaky needs a different scenario to get a buff or a nerf or something, because I honestly don't know what to do with this class, at least right now. Hearty. Hearty is another weak class. It has a couple of garbage heroes. None of the Hearty heroes are top tier, except for Rustbolt, but even Rustbolt is not that great sometimes. The only thing I want to change for Hearty, and actually only 2 things I meant. First thing, this cannot make tricks cost 0. It's not gonna work. It's still gonna work with superpower, so you can rockwool this immediately. It's gonna keep that ability, which is like honestly a fun combo, a fine combo. It's a 2-card investment. It's not that strong. It keeps your teacher way more living, but still not very strong, kind of hero reliant, and etc, etc. And it's still gonna keep its ability to nicely work with Thinking Cap, which is one of the best combination, one of the most fun combination in the game. But what it's gonna do, it's gonna make the paparazzi decks that are going around way less effective in terms of Rustbolt specifically, again, because now you're no longer gonna be able to spam just 0-cost tricks. Second thing it's gonna do, it's gonna stop the going viral ladder hackers. So Rustbolt no longer gonna be an insta win in like hackers, in terms of hackers, and generally promotes a way healthier gameplay. Doesn't become much weaker, still can do most of the things you want it to do, but you know, it's at least no longer that broken in terms of like, oh, that specific combo, which is just disgusting, honestly. Second thing I want to do is I want Black Hole to only work once a turn. I think this card is really, really strong, but it doesn't need to be as strong as it is. Like, you should be able to counter like something with team ups, something with regular units. Like, the Smash plays Black Hole Gargologist. If you don't have Barrier Blast, you lose the game. I think that's just a bad thing. I don't think that should be a thing. I should be allowed to play a 1-cost in this and then punctually front the Gargologist or something. You know, this is a good card as it is. I think if it would only work once a turn, it would be a nerf. It would still be a great card, but it would be like a little less busted, where you don't have to run 4x of this in almost every single Hearty, right? Finally, Sneaky. Sneaky again, a couple of basic nerfs. First of all, let's see, what was I gonna nerf? I was thinking about nerfing this, but honestly, it's too fun to nerf, so we will keep it as it is. The first nerf is Cowboy. Make it 4 HP, dies to 2+2, immediately way less annoying, immediately no longer the best card in the game, at least a little balance now. As a free 5, this is too good. This is too good. This has been the best zombie card in the game for too long. This can win the games by itself. It does win games by itself. There's no downside to running this card. It does not need to be as strong as it is. Second nerf. This card has been 4x in every single Sneaky deck. And I hate to say this, but it has become too strong. And I think this needs to be a free 4. But when a plant or a zombie is frozen, it only gets +2 attack and +1 health. So it becomes a 5-cost 5/5 essentially. Dies to Sizzle now. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't think this needs to be as strong as it is. Finally, one last change. This is, in my opinion, a little way too oppressive. I like the change they did, but I think instead of stealing 2 sections, it needs to steal 1 section. Block meter, specifically. But yeah, that's it. I nerfed all the best cards in the game. I nerfed from both plants and zombies. I nerfed the oppressive Brainy. I nerfed the oppressive Sneaky. I nerfed the oppressive plants. In theory, after all these nerfs, the game should feel a little more balanced. I think zombies are gonna probably feel a little stronger, but then you would make a different balance pitch, and you would start dealing with that, but you know, plants still keep some of their more core stuff, like Marine Beam for BC is still gonna work. Cycle Cap, I didn't nerf at all, even though it should be honestly nerfed at some point. Click Piece, Bunk Choy, all good. Split Piece, still amazing. This is still there, you know. Like, the game plan still the main there. Smarty is still garbage class, but all the more, like, the really strong strategies are now nerfed. So the game should feel like there's a lot more to do in the game now. And the games should last a little longer for every single hero, every single deck, and hopefully that makes a change. Hopefully that will do things. And those were my balance patch suggestions. If you have anything else, if you had any suggestions, any disagreements, etc., just tell me. It would be interesting to hear. But yeah, that was it. That was kind of it.